Hello everyone. Tonight I'm joined by Mr. Niketu Iralu, or rather I would call him Uncle Niketu Iralu, who has been very close to me. So it's going to be a great time for us to try to understand and analyze what's going on in Imphal and let's say the state of Manipur as a whole in terms of the conflict between the tribals and the Maydays. So he is very well known when it comes to resolution of conflict and peace building. And he's well known internationally as well as nationally. And he has been also very important figure when it comes to conflict resolution between the Naga nationalist factions. So it's going to be a very insightful moment to have this conversation with him. I really appreciate him joining for this conversation. So Uncle, you know very well what's happening around in Manipur. And it's quite disheartening and concerning to see people getting slaughtered like animals and the two communities not being able to bring peace among themselves. So why do you think people are not able to bring peace?
I have traveled to our neighboring states and met our neighboring communities often over the last years, and the saying comes to me often at such meetings that love is blind, but neighbors are not.
Mm-hmm.
And now our tolerating one another has come to an end, it seems, and we have become very harsh with one another. But I think that is the reality of our existence, being neighbors. And the important time has come to deal with realities. I'm doing this, what you mentioned about conflict resolution and all these things. I'm not doing something I know. I do not know how to do, but I feel it's so important. In fact, I think the only worthwhile thing to do if we are going to have a future. And what fascinates me so much is Northeast India is one of the most beautiful regions of the world, I believe. The communities, the mixture of tribes, ethnic nationalities, and that extends all the way to Burma. And there is something of God's meaning in this, that we can learn to help one another to grow properly as neighbors, or the way things are deteriorating gradually and now rapidly, it seems, very much like what's happening in Burma and further south. We can either reduce the Northeast into wider killing fields. That would be terrible, but that is quite possible.
Yeah.
Or we can turn it into a region where neighbors, communities living next to each other, understand the implications of being neighbors and really learn to help one another to create a common stability which will enable us to develop and grow properly. I feel at the heart of it all is we need to grow properly. Our people are not growing properly. And I think if we can say that our people are not growing properly, what's the meaning of living in this world if you are not growing properly?
Exactly.
I think that's what we should concentrate on.
Okay.
That's why, to your question, I would like to see that we think in that direction. Whatever the difficulties, we must agree, because of the threat that is coming on us. We must agree to somehow do not make the situation worse. It's already very bad, dangerously bad. We must find the wisdom and the sanity not to make it worse, so that our boat doesn't sink.
Yeah.
We're in the same boat.
Yes.
And priority should be, let's get safely across to the other side. Otherwise, we'll be the same food for the fish down there. I think that kind of thing has to come in. I believe it is possible. It is possible, and we just need to develop our thinking and act accordingly.
But now, from what you stated, what makes me wonder is now the conflict has escalated to such extent that it's well charged, emotionally charged, and is so heated now. And it feels like people have gone beyond the point of no return. And from both sides, neither of them wants to give up at this stage because they have lost their loved ones, they have lost their homes, they have lost everything that they love. Do you think it is always wise? It is always the wisest to come back to sanity, as you state, because humanly speaking, no one wants to come back to that point where they will respect one another, but hurt one another and win over this war by other of the party.
Well, I think we all realize that now we are on the edge of a black hole.
Yes.
And the wisest thing to do will be let us not go down the black hole together.
Yes.
And that means that we just stop hatred and violence and pray to Almighty God. As Christians, pray to Jesus Christ and say that I throw away my hatred. I don't have it. It'll have to be your love, not my love. I don't have it. But please give me your love to love others. Your care for others, to care for others. I don't have it. In me, I'm totally selfish. I know this from speaking from my own experience.
Yes.
Left to myself, I'm totally finished.
Yes.
But I found that I can make that claim and say, I just say goodbye to my hate and selfishness, and then see what the Almighty God gives me with which to help in our crisis where we do not go down the black hole. Because if we go down the black hole, I'm afraid we are told that nothing comes out of the black hole again.
Yes, yes.
But that is the reality number one. And therefore, I think we should find a way of returning to one another, but fully respecting our respective positions. Different communities, no matter how small, how big, how strong, how weak, all have aspirations.
Yes.
And human aspirations are sacred. From God to our soul. It comes from God to our soul.
Yeah.
And we must really respect our different aspirations and our strategies to develop those aspirations first. And then say, how do we go to the next stage? Which is, as neighbors, we cannot push one another out. We must say that recognize one another's existence and find a common way. If we are helpless and do that, or what needs to be done together, we are not alone. Heaven comes in to help us. But if we are attached to our own agenda, no matter what will happen to others, I'm afraid we are completely left to ourselves. And that's not good at all. I think that's the kind of thing we have to think. I feel that in our, because of the pressure of the way things are happening, we can't blame one another for getting so emotional, because we are all afraid of what will happen to our history, our identities, and so on. And show that understanding. Say that we understand why they are feeling so agitated.
Yes.
And they should understand why we are feeling so agitated. And then with that, and say that, look, how do we make it what it should be? I think we should be guided by what the outcome should be and keep the process clean so that outcome will be right. If the process is damaged and dirtied and poisoned, the outcome cannot be good at all. And I think we're not giving any thought to the outcome. We are giving thought to only what we want right now, instant gratification.
Exactly.
And not giving thought to what will be the outcome for our children.
Exactly.
If the process is poisoned as we're poisoning it.
It's great. So where do we begin? Like, for example, from the, let's say, Meitei side, and now from the tribal side. Where do we begin? How do the Mayday how should the Mayday behave or reach out or initiate, or how should the tribal initiate? What would you suggest in order to begin the clean process?
I think to create the right conducive atmosphere, I feel that government of India should say stop the violence. Government of India is strong enough. It's one of the strongest armies in the world.
Yeah.
And if you cannot stop violence in a state like Manipur or Nagaland or anywhere, what is the reason?
Yeah, exactly.
Something is wrong.
Yeah.
And I feel that the Prime Minister of India should realize that he is not just the Prime Minister of BJP. He is Prime Minister of India.
True.
But he seems to guard more BJP's agenda than what's happening to us. We are very fragile communities, just starting our journey out into the world. And we feel very insecure. If that is what the government of India will play that role, and say we want to let the different communities work out what will be best for them, this is something you alone can do. Delhi cannot do.
Yeah.
Delhi is trying to impose a solution on us, it seems.
Yes.
Well, we can understand, but unless we work it out ourselves, it won't happen.
Exactly.
And for that to happen, if we just stop the threat of burning of houses, burning of worshipping houses, the people will say, well, this is a hopeful thing, and approaching to one another will become possible. Otherwise, at the moment, it seems, people don't dare to come out unless something happens to them.
Yeah.
And the places of worship, all religions.
Yeah.
To destroy a temple or a mosque or a church is wrong anywhere in the world. And therefore, the destruction of worshipping places in Manipur on a scale that is happening, it is a disgrace for a country like India, where the Prime Minister does not say a word.
Yeah.
I think this damages Modi's image very much.
And
We say, how can we? What is this? He says so many great things, so many powerfully. He's an orator, but he doesn't say a word on such a simple thing. If Ransom was the Prime Minister, I'm sure he will say much more. Really. The simplest thing people are saying, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
So after that,
yes,
I feel then we should reach out to one another.
Yeah.
We should soon, Nagas going to other communities. And we all know how bad the situation is. And say, look here, we're not here to demand solutions from one another. We're here to see how we save ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
In order that our children tomorrow will inherit something that can be better. You see, our society has become undevelopable. And then our society cannot grow properly. And as I said at the beginning, if we are not growing properly, I mean, why live on this earth? We come only once.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're not going to give that to our children also.
Right.
Yeah. Our desire for immediate enjoyment of this or that. And that is where our leaders should realize there's no leadership.
But now the situation here is we can see intransigency, like, or reluctance from both sides. Now, when both sides are reluctant to talk to one another or to reach out to one another for amicable settlement of this issue, where do we end up? Like, what role do we have, or how that peace process should begin? Because even government cannot intervene anymore in this solution, in this situation, and both sides are not ready to talk anymore. They want vengeance much more than anything else at this time. From where do we begin the process, as per what you think?
I believe all the parties, groups involved in the conflict and confrontation in a situation like this, politically, it's the tactic is to take the hardest stand. But I think deep down they all realize, like you and me, like all of us, ordinary people say, "Well, how long can this go on?" We have gone to the limit now.
Yeah.
The next thing is it'll become irretrievable. And as I said, if we are going to give ourselves and to our communities, killing fields, they become uncontrollable. That is why we should see. I think that if we say that, appeal to our leaders, and then the ordinary people like us say that we are all at a loss.
Yeah.
But we want to know what will help, what will be best for all of us. I think this is where all of us are facing the choices. That one challenges us, one tempts us, a temptation. Very quickly in a tense crisis like this, we give into the choice that tempts us, which is okay, our advantage all the time. But the one that challenges us is, if we do this, it will challenge, inspire the other side also, possibility of challenging them to rise to a common, honorable, higher choice. I mean, these are all easy to talk about.
Yeah,
but it will come from stepping out in faith and determination to deal with the realities of our crisis. I think we will see unexpected openings. If we say that we will do what needs to be done, not because we know how to do it, but it has to come out of us, it will not come from somewhere. Again, it will not come from Delhi or anywhere. If it comes from there and we don't do anything, it will be wrong for us and for them. I think this is how very soon we have to go to one another.
So in order to start working with one another, do we need to wait for government's intervention? Because when you look at the framework to which this conflict should be resolved, either we look at government framework or political framework, or we look at ourselves as a civil society and negotiate and initiate this process.
Well, I think governments will have to keep the governments going on, but the civil society have to move and reach out to one another. Government should not and cannot stop it.
Yeah.
If they are going to stop it, means their agendas are more important than the people and the region.
Right.
And I think we have to realize that this Northeast region has a great choice. One is wonderful, the other is horrible. And are we going to give that to our children?
True.
And you see, also, we are fragile communities.
Yeah.
But if at this stage, at the start of our journey, if we can, with God's grace and help, learn to do that which will enable all of us to grow, which will enable us to achieve a common stability. It means that it will not be exactly as all that I want or we want.
Yeah.
But it means that is necessary for us and for them or others to go together. I think this is a new field of thinking. We can't go on thinking only for ourselves and call ban against our neighbors.
Right.
I think bans are unsustainable, but we have used that for too long.
It has been used for too long.
We have now come to say that we have to go for something that is sustainable.
Yeah.
And the new century we are in, we are just thinking of our immediate conflicts. But climate change can bring all kinds of things that are not going to allow us to have the luxury of being just thinking for ourselves.
Yeah. That's right. Let's say the conflict that has caused a lot of hurts, that hurt the sentiment of the people.
Yeah, hurt.
And really hurt very badly.
Yeah.
Now this may not, even if they come and settle the matter, I think that this kind of hurt will continue for a very long time, because they have lost their homes, because they have lost their loved ones. So regardless of whether this comes into normalcy or not, the herd will continue in the long run. And do you think it's justified?
You think?
It's justified to keep the herd for quite a long time.
Well, I think the thing is, herds are real as rain. Therefore, we have to approach herds with the deepest respect and helplessness, and realize that if we are going to hang on to them, there'll be more herds. You know, the well-known observation by a Franciscan monk, Richard Rohr, he said, herds not transformed are always transferred. And so if you hurt me and I say, well, you hurt me and therefore I'm not going to let you do anything about it. And you also, in that case, if you're not interested, I will hurt you more. And then, or if you say, if you do your best, I say, no, I'm not going to allow you to help heal my hurt. A lot of new babies are born from there.
True.
And the population explosion of hurts, negatives, resentment, vengeful schemes. I mean, it just increases very rapidly. And therefore, with that, understanding, I think we have to start. And I think that the better angels will come out because the better angels are in all of us. But for a long time, we have been feeding the devilish angels, or we can't call them angels, the devilish things in us.
Yeah.
But all that we have, the difficulty we have faced, I think now we are more realistic, I think. And therefore, as you say, governments and political groups, they'll be very harsh and very strong. I think we must understand their position. They have to be like that. If you are in their position, if I have the capacity to be in that kind of position, I will also be like that. It means a position of helpless, taking a helpless position that is not defensible.
True.
Therefore, show compassion and understanding, and say that we need to have something that promises us more, not destruction. And the leaders are the one who will understand that first. We are on the edge of a black hole, of a precipice, and that's why we are saying that the leadership that can come from you alone, we are calling upon you to accept that destiny. I think how many will come or no, but I think a lot of our leaders they really love our people also.
Of course.
And they love our people intensely. I think what heaven will give them is to love the other people, the destinies and the interests of other people also. Now that is statesmanship.
True.
I think we will, if we can increase leadership that has statesmanship in it, we will see the explosion of a new spirit. Which when that comes, people begin to say, well, if the right thing can be done, I have a part. And I think that is what Gandhiji meant when he said, be the change you want to see.
Yeah.
We are saying to each one of us, be the change I want to see. And it's very inspiring. It sounds doable. When you do it, you find that you are doing the toughest, greatest thing in the world.
Yes.
And you discover that there's nothing more worthwhile.
True.
And that will increase.
Okay.
And our region is full of, fresh things. And these fresh things must not be made to serve wrong things.
Yeah.